Good evening, ladies. My name is Susan Katz, and I am with American Consumer Credit Counseling. Tonight is our Women and Money subject matter discussion, and I'm trying to get excuse me for 1 second. My system is not allowing me to scroll down for some reason, so I am going to back out of the regular slideshow and just do it on the side. Tonight, we're going to talk about who we are as women, a little bit about that, goals that we need to start thinking about, finances, investing in yourself, insurance, getting your documents in place, and elder care. Again, we're going to be doing a lot of this as an overview of the different things that you need to be thinking about. And in future webinars, we will go much deeper into the subject. But the first part of this is, who are we as women? Nurture versus nature. I tend to find most women that I talk to are caregivers. It's in our genes to put ourselves last and everybody else first. The funny thing about that is that we tend to live longer than our counterparts, and we have to have that stability as we age, financially and emotionally. So in your chat box, I want you to type in, and Madison is going to read them out as we go, your thoughts on the differences that women have when it comes to financial issues, when it comes to self-care, and as women as a whole, what you see as what you're seeing out there for yourself. I'll give you a couple minutes to write those things in. Another thing that we need to think about as women is our relationships with other people and money. This is one of the things where I've had several conversations with people where they take care of their children first. How am I going to have the money for them? Or they're in a relationship and they take care of their other half first.
Oh, we just had somebody in the chat say that they need more self-care.
More self-care, yeah. And
another one says, can't always be single-minded about money due to multiple priorities.
Yep.
Oops. So let's see. We also got one that says, we are caregivers, we get paid less, and another one says, don't earn as much as men.
A lot of that is true. So when we are thinking about earnings levels and putting other people in front of us, like I said, this is a relationship thing. It's a relationship thing with your family, your friends, your boyfriend or husband, and your money and yourself. We tend to lose ourselves when it comes to things. So one of the things that I always do is journal my thoughts, and that helps me figure out where I want to go with these types of things. And keep putting in your comments and everything else. Madison is going to interrupt my presentation as I go along because I want to hear from you and I want to hear your questions as we look at these different things. All right. So The first part of what I do for myself is that journal. And I don't write in it constantly. I used to, but now I use it once a year to look at the past year and what I've accomplished. I always want to pat myself on the back for the things that I have done, give myself that self love. I want to write down where I stand with my budget, with my income, with my assets, with my debts. And I want to look at the goals that I have for the coming year. Now, when I do this, I look at the year prior's notes that I wrote to myself, and I look at what I've accomplished and what I didn't accomplish. Some of those things are that self care part. You know, we I went through my mother being in hospice. I gained a lot of weight as she was passing away. One of my goals for this year is taking better control of that. So it's not always the financial piece. A lot of this stuff is interacted with all different types of things that we think about as women, as the caregivers. Again, I am no better than anybody else. I tend to put myself last when it comes to helping others. And that balance needs to be found for all of us. When we look at goals, most people talk about SMART goals: specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound. And that's all well and good. But for you, I want you to think about SMART goals in your journey and do a checklist. Start small and work your way up. What do I need to take care of today for me? What do I want coming up in the next 6 months? What do I want for myself in the next year? And maybe a long term goal. When we break it down and we look at the components of that, what do I have to do to get to that next spot? That's our checklist. And I want you to write it down so that you literally can check off things as you accomplish them. This helps build your self worth. This helps you see that you are moving in the right direction. Now, life happens to all of us, and sometimes we slide back. But if you write a note on why it slid back, you can move forward from there. And it helps you understand those different things as well. Earnings is another big one when we are focusing on the things that we want to prioritize. And somebody did make the comment that women tend to earn less than men.
Oh, Sue, we got another comment in here.
Go for it.
She said that she's raising her 3-year-old daughter and caring for her mom who's 81. Where should I start?
Okay, well, like I said, the journal and the goal list is the place to start. If you are bringing in income and you are looking for a job, or if you are trying to look at getting a better salary, there are a lot of organizations that teach you how to negotiate better pay. But again, you have to believe that you deserve the better pay and look at it as a necessity and or move on to a position that pays you better. To the person that just asked that question about raising a child plus taking care of your mother, if you are stay at home and you are not working right now, you can get a benefit through Social Security for care for your mother. It's a stipends, but it does pay you some money so that you can survive while you're doing it. And I would contact the Social Security Administration as one of my parts of my checklist. So, yes, earnings, we tend to be tighter than a men's salary. And that means that we have to learn to stand up for ourselves. Differences about women and men, like I said, we put people in front of us and we tend to say, I'm not worthy. You are worthy, and you have to build on that. And like I said, taking one of those courses is a very smart idea. And do a little research of the salary ranges for the position that you have.
Okay, so the same person who just had talked about the, taking care of her daughter and her mother said that she also works full time.
That's a lot. So I am hoping that there is some childcare involved and possibly home health aides or assistants involved with taking care of her mother. For my mom, I had aides helping me out, even though I was the primary caregiver, so that I could work my full time job in order to make things work out. It can be costly. Some of it may be covered by her insurance, and that would be another thing on the checklist to check out. So the next thing is to do a budget. And I always break budgeting down into 3 different parts. The first part of your budget is getting to know yourself. So literally writing down where you're spending your money, understanding what you like and what you don't like about your own spending habits. Everybody has a different budget because everybody has different wants, needs, and desires. If you start tracking it, you can find ways to lower the cost in your budget. So, give you an idea about that. I used to go to Dunkin' Donuts a long time ago when coffee and a bagel was $3.50 a day. I realized I was spending $911 a year on coffee and bagels. And I was like, that's a whole lot of money. But I like my coffee and my bagel in the morning. So I started getting them at Market Basket. I saved myself $700 a year just by changing the way that I brought it in. So by tracking your spending, you are going to find things that you are getting very inexpensively and you like in your budget. Those you keep. You're going to find things that the advertisers got in your brain cells to get you to impulse buy on. Those are the things you want to stay away from. My big impulse thing has always been black pants. I finally realized I didn't need 10 pairs of black pants in my closet. So it's looking at those impulse buys and slowing it down. There are many techniques that you can take on that habit. And a lot of us are emotional buyers. And number one is staying off Amazon and those other things online. Actually use a real store. Go into the store with what you need to buy in mind. And if you see something you like along the way, it's okay to look at it. Look at the price tag as well. And continue to what you went to go to the store for. While you're on your way to pick up what items you needed, start thinking about the thing that you wanted. And think about how often you're going to use it. Does the price match that? Can you wait till it goes on sale or on clearance? Um, Ask yourself if you can get it a different way. All of those questions are relevant. And if you find that it's not really worth it, don't get it. If you answer the questions in the positive of why you need it right away and it is going to be of value, you're going to be using it constantly, then it's an okay buy. An idea of something like this is I went into a store one time and I saw this beautiful sundress. It was $180 or $90. I can't remember which one right now. And I was thinking about it. And I know me, I gain weight, I lose weight, I'm all over the place with weight. And I might have gotten 2 or 3 wears off of it that summer. But who knows what my weight would be the following year. It was not worth the money to get that dress. So a lot of what we're thinking about in our minds is changing our way of thinking and also looking outside the box for new ways to bring things into our lives. The actual budget, I always cost average budgets, no matter what, because there are 52 weeks in a year. If you get paid biweekly, some years there are 26 pay periods, some years there are 27. So if I take everything that's net in my budget and I flatten it out over 12 months, any excess I can put in a savings account. So it's earning a little bit of interest for me while I'm waiting to use it. And even off the keel of some months having 5 weeks in it and February sometimes only having 3. I do the same thing with the expense side of budgets. Your fixed expense, easy to put flat across the board. An actual budget takes about 20 minutes to do. Your variable expenses are the area where we can find the deepest discounts. So your fixed expenses would be things like rent, loan payments, car payments, student loans, all things like that. Same amount each month. The variable expenses, the food, the clothes, the gas, the entertainment, all of that stuff, it fluctuates. But if we can find discounts for it, any excess we have in the budget for the month goes into that savings account, drives up how much we're saving. And then we have the periodic expenses, those things that happen once, twice, 3 or 4 times a year, like Christmas. If you have children, it may be that daycare while you're working during the school year. It may be things like car repairs. It may be things like the water bill. It may be things like your car insurance. If we can save up the money towards these, this takes away some of that fear that we get on how I'm going to pay for this and something else at the same time. You know that feeling that we get during the winter when we have those high winter heating bills? Well, if you have gas, multiply your highest winter heating bill times 5 and divide it by 12. Now that it's spring, start sticking that extra money into your savings account so that when next winter hits, you're not in culture shock and you're pushing your savings account to earn a little bit more for you. You should have already started saving up for Christmas for next year. Have a budget in mind for that. But also where your children come into play, where other people come into play. Remember what they say when you're on an airplane. You've got to put the face mask on yourself first before you help somebody else. So I would budget in a column a spot for your children, for their clothes, for parties that they may go to, and things like that, and or for what you're going to do to help your family or friends or anything else that you normally just say, oh, okay, I'll take care of that for you.
Oh, there's another
I'll
question
do.
here. This person asked, can you repeat that calculation for the gas?
Sure, winter heat. If it's a heating bill, multiply it by 5 and then divide it by 12. If you have oil, how many times did you fill up this year? What was the highest fill up cost you? Multiply or add those 3 up or 4 up or however many times you filled up your tank and divide that by 12. That way you don't have the culture shock. I used to have to pay a water bill. I own a condo, but my condo fees take care of my water bill now. But where I used to live, the water bill was $150 a quarter, no matter what. Everybody paid the same amount. $50 a month went into the savings. And when the water bill came in, guess what? I didn't have to figure out how I was going to pay for that and my rent at the same time. And while I was waiting, it was earning a little bit of interest for me. Now, I'll bet a whole lot of banks don't give you a whole lot of interest. I know. Some credit unions do have better rates. Depending on where you are, I always say pick 3 banks and compare them, compare their rates, see what they offer you. 9 times out of 10, the credit union is going to beat out any other bank. Also, think about this. When we are putting money away, we know that the Fed is starting to raise interest rates again. That means that when we borrow money, it's going to cost us a little bit more. But when we're putting money into our savings, we should be getting a little bit better rates over the next year. So your money can grow a little bit. In that respect, we want to talk about the next portion of what we want to focus on as priorities, and that's investing in you. So, what's left over in the budget, if there is money left over, which is the goal, we want to put that money away and build a nest egg. This nest egg is for you. If you are married, I want you to partner with your husband and make a budget for the household goods. But I want each one of you to have your own savings account. Again, there are several reasons for this. Number one is if something should happen to either one of you, a lot of things get frozen as soon as the bank receives the death certificate until you can go through the paperwork to unfreeze accounts. You want to make sure your nest egg is available to you in case of an emergency like that. You also want to feel, again, self-worth. Have your own money that you don't have to explain to anybody else. If you are a single mother or on your own like I am now, building up an emergency fund is very important for all kinds of reasons. Life happens to all of us. Nobody is immune from it. We want you or want a nest egg to be built up for an emergency fund for at least 3 to 6 months of your expenses. Again, your budget is key to figure this out because in your budget, you're going to have your income, you're going to have a total of what your expenses are. We can find all kinds of discounts, and I will talk about things like that later on. But putting money away is key. Now, this emergency fund should be liquid money. That means it should be in your savings account as cash at home, in a certificate of deposit, things that you can get at easily. Investing for our future, 401ks and IRAs are a great way to go. And if your job offers a 401k, if you have the ability after you have your emergency fund in place to max out what you can put into it and get a money from the company to match even a portion of it, that is money for your retirement. You are not going to take it out of there until you're at least 59 and a half, if not older, in a traditional 401k. Also, that stands for a traditional IRA as well. Building this money with getting a little bit of free money invested to it at the same time helps. But if you are in debt, if you do not have your emergency fund and your job offers you a 401k, at least open it up with 1% of your earnings. I always say you can adjust it anytime. So when things are going good, we want to max out as much as possible. When we are having difficulties or a life event or owe debt, we want to minimize it, but we still want to invest. Now, if you have the chance for a Roth IRA, you're not going to get any tax benefit up front for making a deposit into it, but your money will grow tax free. And you can pull out of money that you put into it at any time if you have an emergency, but you cannot touch the interest or dividends from it until after 59 and a half, or you're going to have penalties and fees. Again, each one of these topics we are going to go much deeper into in future events. Insurance is another thing that we have to think about. Homeowners insurance and car insurance, very important to have. But life insurance, unless you have somebody that's dependent on your salary, you don't need. If you do have somebody dependent on your salary, you have to figure out how much life insurance you're going to need. And then you think of it as a calculation. How long are they going to need assistance before they can do things on their own? For estate planning, there are certain documents that you're going to need to put into place. Again, these are all our priorities. And you have to remember, we tend to live longer than our partners. So thinking about what you want for later on in life, who you're going to be giving things to is important. But also, on top of that, having a healthcare proxy in place. If something should happen to you and you're unconscious, who's going to speak for you? Living wills, a power of attorney, all of those different things. I'm not going to get very far into estate planning because I've already spent a lot of time on the different priorities. But again, somebody asked about where do I start? You start with what your goals are and your budget. We'll look at the credit report and other things at a different time. That's going to be important too, because the better your credit score is, the easier it is to borrow money and you'll get money at lower interest rates. But we also have to think about balance. And I'm telling you, ladies, totally, for me, this is something I get yelled at all the time that I don't have a work-life balance. For me, I'm lucky enough that my job is something I absolutely love. And I've always, wanted to channel my energy of helping others into my work. And I've been very successful at doing that. But not everybody has that. And some people have children. I don't. If you have children, you are taking care of the elderly, like I just went through that long stint of taking care of my mother, I would do it again in a heartbeat. But you do have to find that time for you. So I want each one of you to promise me today to give yourself minimum of 1/2 hour a day to focus on you. That could be going for a walk. That could be doing some type of meditation. That could be journaling. That could be doing a hobby that you love. It's called me time. That minimum of 1/2 hour a day can lower your blood pressure several points. If you have high blood pressure, you know what it's like to start getting stressed out and feeling your heartbeat in your ears. That 1/2 hour of depression time or decompression time, I'm sorry, helps you realign and refocus on those things that you need to do. Your life is a job in some respects. Handling your finance like a business, you're the CEO. But every CEO needs that me time. For me, when I'm in my car, I might have my radio on. 90% of the time, I'm listening to financial news. That's just me because I like it. On the weekends, I listen to music or other things just to get away from it for a little while. But we all need that me time. So think about what work life balance means to you. And in your journal, start exploring it. Some of you guys might like to go to paint nights. One of the things that is free to everybody spring, summer, and fall is a website called Fun Free Fridays. And Fun Free Fridays tells you what's going on in your local community for free every Friday night. It may be concerts on the common, it may be a movie night, or you can go to your local library, get free books, free music, free movies, DVDs, or day passes to zoos, Audubon societies, or museums. For some of you that are mothers, this is awesome to take your kids to the Audubon Society. My mom used to always bring us, and I found a passion for animals while I was there. It also acted as a decompression time for her because I would be in the petting zoo and she could just watch. Think about different things that might help you out. Before I get into the next slide, I also want to talk about some of those other types of ways to save money. So, with the high cost of gas right now, there is a couple of apps out there. One of them is Gas Buddies that can help you find the lowest cost gas station in your local area. You can go on Groupon and Living Social. Be careful of these places because these are the advertisers trying to get you in the door of businesses, but you can get 65 to 85% off on what you use from Groupon and Living Social. So for my ex's birthday, when he turned 50, I took him out to dinner to a ritzy restaurant out here for less than it cost to go to Chili's. I got a second discount from AAA on tickets to go see the Bonham Experience because he was a big Led Zeppelin fan. And that made it so I had enough left over to buy him the gift that I wanted to give him. I was on a budget. For my niece's birthday one year, I taught her about money because she was always thinking money grew on trees. Gimme, 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 gimme. So I told her I had a budget, but I wanted to take her and her friend to the zoo for her birthday. And I told her we have to work within my budget. So we went to the zoo. She rode a camel. She did all these different types of things that she loved. It was stress free for me because she had her friend with her. And I told her how much I spent and what the budget was left over. Well, halfway through the zoo, she got bored. She wanted a t-shirt, so she got a t-shirt, told her what was left in the budget. I said, we still need to eat, and we still needed to get her her birthday gift. So she said she wanted to go to the mall. We went to a restaurant in the mall. She and her friend picked out whatever they wanted. I told her what was left in the budget afterwards. She had a certain amount of money left over to buy herself her birthday gift. She ran through the entire mall with her friend, many stores for an hour, and she finally wound up with a Build-A-Bear. She lived within a budget for the first time in her life. She never was a give me, gimme kid after that. Again, we have to learn boundaries. And we have to, as women, learn to say, I can only do so much for you. And then you have to do it for yourself. We as women have to maintain those boundaries and live within the budget that we choose inside those boundaries to help whoever we have a relationship with. Empowerment in work-life balance, empowerment in our jobs, empowerment is to learn to say the word no, or I have reached my boundary. I cannot do more. That is your empowerment to start. This is something I'm still working on, just like a lot of people are working on, but finding that balance so that you don't burn out is very, very important. Now, again, somebody in the class did mention elder care and helping your parents through that time period. We will all wind up helping our parents through that time period and ourselves, because a lot of us, when it comes time, may or may not have family around us to think about us. So when it comes to elder care, you have your choice of home care, assisted living, or nursing homes. I used to work in a nursing home. For me, that was never a choice. And for my mom, it was never a choice. Nursing homes are the most expensive type of elder care out there. In my local region, the New England region, nursing homes can cost up to $14,000 a month. And when you run out of money, yes, you are on Medicaid and they take all of your assets to pay for it, unless you have a trust set up 5 years prior to heading to the nursing home. Assisted living, still extremely expensive. In my region, you can pay $9,000 to $12,000 for assisted living. Home care is another option. And again, using personal stuff as an example, it was very difficult for my mother to move out of her house, but she needed to because she had 5 stories to our house. So tons of flights of stairs, and she was on a walker. So it wasn't something that she could do in her own home. I did find independent living apartment for her expensive, but a whole lot less expensive than assisted living or nursing homes. And in her apartment, she could have her own possessions and her own refrigerator, microwave, toaster oven, even though they had an area, if she wanted to go for a hot meal in the other area, she could do that as well. She also had a lot of activities that she could do. So it's not like an assisted living, but closer in that respect. As she needed more and more care, I was taking care of her personally more, but I also hired aides to help her. In your home, if you do have a flat house, or the elderly person is able to still do stairs, you can hire in home health aides to help you and keep whoever your loved one is in their own home for as long as possible. That is the best for their feeling of independence and the best for their pocketbook as well as yours. There are rules and ideas to um, help you when it comes to nursing homes and assisted living, through Social Security, through seeing an attorney that deals with elder care. And like I said, possibly doing a trust 5 years ahead of time so that you don't have that look back that Medicare can or Medicaid can take their assets. So that is a story for a different day, but it does need to be a bug in your ear for thoughts. So as far as resources go, when we are planning for ourselves, we do need to find out, what benefits we're going to have when we retire. SSA.gov is a website that's set up Social Security Administration. Most of us do not receive that yearly statement from them anymore because it is online now. You can call Social Security and request your statement to be mailed to you. They will do that. But for most of us, you need to set up an account with Social Security at SSA.gov. And by setting up the account and putting in your own password, you actually will block identity thieves from stealing your Social Security because they will not be able to access it without using your password and all of that. So that is a very big thought. But you also want to know, and figure out what your retirement age is going to be, what kind of money that might be there when you are ready to retire, so that you can plan your nest egg and see how many years that you need to work until you can retire. Our website, consumercredit.com, we blog, we tweet, we do all kinds of things on there. FPA.org, great for financial planning. Mint.com is a online service that you can use to set up your budget and look up other resources and a whole lot more. There are tons of calculators on there. And for investment, some of the sites that I like the best are Motley Fools and the Barron's Reports. So to start yourself in your journey, it all comes back to the basics. What is my goal? What do I have to work with? That's the budget. What are my wants, needs, and desires? And then what can I afford to put away for me? And what can I afford to give as a gift? Because even if you are loaning something to somebody, you got to think of it as a gift because you may or may not get it back. Live life reciprocally, meaning the yin and the yang of life. Live it in balance. I did see another comment I do want to quickly mention. Somebody said, yes, I'm thankful I am able to have her live with me. So the home health care has been a great when able to find reasonable prices. And that is true. You do have to shop around for the prices and good service. It's a mix. But also to that person, please look into the aid and attendance from Social Security because that may help you out with that aid. So I thank you all for your time. Have a wonderful evening and get yourself a journal and start thinking about what you want for you. My email address is skatz@consumercredit.com, skatz@consumercredit.com. So you can reach out to me anytime. I'm happy to answer your questions. So again, I thank you all and have a great night.